What if I told you that one of the biggest criminal investigations in modern American history, one involving billionaires, politicians, royalty, and secret islands, was never just a case about one man? What if behind the scandal, behind the headlines, behind the mysterious death in a Manhattan jail cell, there were files, thousands of pages, containing accusations, names, timelines, evidence, and testimonies that the public was never supposed to see? For years, these documents were sealed, locked away from journalists, lawmakers, and ordinary citizens. Rumors swirled. Whispers spread online. People wondered who was being protected. Why was this information hidden? And what really happened behind the scenes? Today, we're diving deep into the full history of the Epstein file case. How the files were created, why they were sealed, what they reveal, and how their eventual release sent shockwaves across the world. This is not just the story of Jeffrey Epstein. It's the story of power, secrecy, and one of the most controversial document dumps of the century. Let's begin. 1. The origins. Who was Jeffrey Epstein really? Before the files. Before the word Epstein became synonymous with one of the darkest scandals in U.S. history, he was already a mysterious figure. Born in Brooklyn in 1953, Jeffrey Epstein grew up like an ordinary kid. But by his 20s, he somehow managed to climb into elite financial circles, securing jobs he wasn't fully qualified for and building connections with some of the wealthiest and most influential people on the planet. Epstein worked briefly as a teacher, then jumped to Wall Street, where he joined Bear Stearns. But the question that still puzzles investigators is, how did he become so rich, and why did so many powerful people trust him? He claimed to manage billions of dollars for select clients. He owned private jets, mansions, a ranch, and an entire private island in the Caribbean. But behind the luxury was something much darker. As early as the 1990s, rumors circulated about Epstein's parties, his much younger female companions, and his secretive lifestyle. But nothing stuck. Nothing reached the public. Not yet. The first arrest and the beginning of the files, 2005 to 2008. The Epstein file case truly began in 2005. A mother in Palm Beach reported to police that her 14-year-old daughter had been paid by Epstein to give massages at his mansion. This wasn't a small allegation. This was the kind of report that triggered a full investigation. Police uncover more girls. Some 16, some younger, many from vulnerable backgrounds. The Palm Beach Police Department submitted a 53-page report recommending multiple felony charges. But something strange happened. The FBI stepped in. A federal investigation began, eventually producing what would become thousands of pages of evidence, interviews, witness statements, photographs, logs, and more. These documents were part of what would later be known as the Epstein Files, a massive collection of legal materials tied to the case. Yet despite the evidence, in 2008, Epstein received what many call one of the most controversial deals in American legal history. It was known as the Sweetheart Plea Deal. Signed by U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, it granted Epstein a plea to minor state charges, just 13 months in a county jail, work release privileges, immunity for his co-conspirators. But there was something even stranger. The deal was kept secret from the victims, which violated federal law. And the documents behind that deal? They were sealed. The public had no idea what was in them. But journalists sensed something was off. The civil case that pushed it all open, 2014 to 2015. After the Sweetheart deal, many thought the case was over, but victims didn't forget. In 2014, two women, identified as Jane Doe No. 1 and Jane Doe No. 2, filed a civil lawsuit saying the government had violated their rights by hiding Epstein's plea deal. This lawsuit would become the foundation for the eventual unsealing of the Epstein files. It included interviews with dozens of survivors. It analyzed court documents. It broke down the secret plea deal in detail. The report revived public interest in the case so intensely that federal authorities were forced to reopen the investigation. People began asking, why were the Epstein files sealed? Who did they protect? And what was the government hiding? Pressure mounted. Petitions were filed to unseal the documents. Victims demanded transparency. The walls around the Epstein files were finally weakening. Epstein's 2019 arrest, the moment the files became dangerous. On July 6, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested at a New Jersey airport on federal sex trafficking charges. The indictment described a pattern of abuse involving minors, nearly identical to the 2005 case that led to his Sweetheart deal. The arrest sent shockwaves across the world. But it wasn't the arrest itself that terrified powerful people. It was what came next. As part of the new investigation, prosecutors reopened the old files. More documents were collected. More names were examined. More logs and photos were seized. This meant the Epstein files were growing again, linking Epstein, Maxwell, and possibly other high-profile individuals. Journalists, politicians, victims, and online communities all demanded transparency. Speculation exploded. And then something happened that changed everything. Epstein's death and the storm around the files, August 2019. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell. The official cause, suicide. But the circumstances were so unusual, and the timing so precise, that millions of people questioned the official story. Here's why. Both security cameras outside his cell reportedly malfunctioned. The guards assigned to check on him fell asleep. Epstein was taken off suicide watch just days earlier. A former cellmate warned officials that Epstein was not safe. Whether you believe it was suicide or not, one thing was clear. Epstein was no longer alive to testify. And because of his death, many feared the Epstein files would never be unsealed. But the opposite happened. His death intensified the demand for answers. The battle to unseal the files, 2020 to 2023. Over the next several years, lawyers, media organizations, victims, and advocacy groups fought to have the files unsealed. The files weren't just text. They contained flight logs, witness statements, depositions, emails, court transcripts, photos, names, and sealed testimonies tied to powerful individuals. The central legal fight focused on documents tied to the 2015 defamation lawsuit filed by victim Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell fought aggressively to keep these files sealed. Her argument: releasing the documents would cause irreparable harm to her reputation and unfairly drag unrelated people into public controversy. Victims argued the opposite. The files contained the truth, and the public deserved to know what was hidden. The fight went all the way to the U.S. Court of Appeals. And finally, the unsealing begins, 2023 to 2024. A series of judges ruled that the public interest outweighed privacy concerns. Slowly, hundreds of pages of the Epstein files were released. Then thousands. These documents revealed testimonies describing Epstein's recruitment network, statements placing well-known individuals in Epstein's orbit, details about Maxwell's role, private flight logs, communication records, descriptions of the trafficking operation. Some names appeared prominently. Others were mentioned in passing. Some were cleared of wrongdoing after investigation. Others faced renewed scrutiny. But the most significant effect was this: the secrecy surrounding the case was finally cracking open. And yet, this wasn't the end. In early 2024, another massive batch of documents was unsealed. These included a 2016 deposition from Ghislaine Maxwell, statements from Virginia Giuffre, testimonies from other victims, previously unseen emails and logs. The documents did not prove criminal wrongdoing for every name mentioned, but they painted a detailed picture of Epstein's social world, a world filled with billionaires, celebrities, royals, academics, and politicians. More importantly, they showed how much information authorities had, how long the truth had been hidden, how deeply the trafficking operation was tied to power and privilege. The Epstein files weren't just documents. They were a map connecting people, places, and events that had been shielded from public view for more than a decade. Some names were redacted. Others are still sealed. But each release brought us closer to understanding the full scope of the case. Why were the files sealed for so long? The big question. To this day, one question remains central. Why were the Epstein files kept sealed? There are a few widely discussed explanations. 1. Protection of powerful reputations. Many believe the files contain names of influential figures, individuals whose reputations could be destroyed by association. 2. Legal privacy. Courts argue that individuals not charged with crimes should not have their names publicly released. 3. Ongoing investigations. Some documents were sealed to avoid compromising active investigations. 4. The plea deal secrecy clause. The 2008 deal wasn't just lenient, it was designed to ensure information didn't reach the public. Regardless of the reasoning, the secrecy triggered something dangerous: mistrust, conspiracy, confusion. The longer the files stayed hidden, the more people believed there were truths the government and elite figures didn't want exposed. What the Epstein files prove and what they don't. Despite their shocking content, the Epstein files do not prove that every person named committed a crime. Many names appear because they were acquaintances, they were business contacts, they flew on his plane, they attended events, they were mentioned by others. But what the files do prove is far more important. 1. Epstein was protected for years. Authorities knew much earlier than the public. A wide network existed. Recruiters, assistants, associates, visitors, and enablers helped Epstein maintain his lifestyle. The Epstein file case isn't just history. It's a warning. 14. What happens next? The Epstein files continue to be studied by journalists, lawyers, researchers, law enforcement, survivors' organizations. More lawsuits are ongoing. More documents may still be unsealed. More names could emerge. More truth could come to light. And the pressure isn't stopping. In many ways, the public is now the watchdog. People around the world continue to demand transparency, accountability, justice. Because the Epstein case wasn't one crime, it was a system. A network that operated in the shadows for years. And the files are the blueprint of that network. Conclusion: the case that changed everything. The history of the Epstein file case is a story of secrecy, power, corruption, and the relentless pursuit of truth. It's the story of how one man's crimes exposed the failures of the justice system, the influence of wealth, and the importance of victims' voices. What began as a single police report in 2005 became one of the most important legal battles of the 21st century. And even today, the case continues to shape public conversations. If you found this deep dive informative, make sure you give this video a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you never miss future investigations like this one. Your support helps bring more truth to light. Thank you for watching.